recipe for great food is simple. Make it fresh. Wings to Go in Greenville, where every order is a custom order made with fresh ingredients. Wings to Go, 7818 Wesley Street in Greenville. Simply great wings.
And Mr. Turner are not available tonight, so they will not be here. The rest of the council members are present. We will have the invocation by Fire Chief Jeremy Powell, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Father, we humbly come before you tonight and ask that you give us the strength, the wisdom to glorify your name, Father, in these troubling times. Jesus once said, "Now my soul is troubled, what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour." Father, despite all the wonderful gifts that you've given us, we continue to live in a troubled and lost world. Today we ask that you give us the grace, your grace and wisdom more than ever. And we ask that you be with each and every one of us tonight as decisions are made that affect so many. Father, the Bible tells us, a little while longer the light is with you. While you have the light, or darkness will overtake you. For he who walks in darkness does not know where he is going. Father, tonight we ask that you continue to light our path. Let us seek the face of Jesus, the Good Shepherd, and the direction that he would have us go. Father, I pray that we fulfill the wish of your Son and continue to show endless love for one another. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chief Powell. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We're going to do something a little different here tonight. There was a couple of subjects that were talked about at the last council meeting, and we're going to give you a very brief assessment on those. The first has to do with airport hangar development. Summer?
Yes, Mayor. At the last meeting, it was brought up about the need for development out at Majors Field. So I just want you guys to know that staff's been planning for hangar development and taxiway extension at Majors Field. We've also been working on the funding portion of that. Currently, the options for that funding include airport funds, which we have a little over $3 million available to be used at the airport. We're also working with TxDOT Aviation to request additional funding for expansion of the general aviation area. We are currently working on Airport Project 2001 Green with TxDOT Aviation to design, repair, and construct drainage improvement at Majors Field. This is a critical infrastructure project that we've been working on for almost more than 2 years now with TxDOT Aviation. Those things take time in the design process, and if you guys recall, we did a matching grant of 10%. It was a $1.1 million grant, so we're currently in the design phase of that project, working out some priorities of funding, because that total project is going to cost $12,450,785. Obviously, if we only have $3 million available plus the grant, that doesn't give us enough funding. So $9 million of that project improvements can be constructed over time as funds become available. So we're working on the planning phases of that to be able to do that. Also, I wanted to let you know Public Works has worked extremely hard in finding alternative solutions. We have some debris removal that we have to have out there at along the runway. It's going to cost in the upwards of $2 million to remove that, and I think we have Press has worked really hard in an alternative solution that's going to cost us a lot less than that, and also sustain some other areas of our city. So we're working on that as well. And then in the 2021 budget year, our staff has requested to extend the tarmac and also add additional hangars at the Majors Field. So you guys will be seeing that during the budget process. So that will be for you guys' decision to make. And we'll just continue to work on a viable, affordable plan that we can plan, to be able to support the infrastructure, to actually repair the infrastructure so that we can support development, because we do realize there is a great need for development at Majors Field. So that's a quick update. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Any questions? Thank you. The second item was the Hunt County Tax Appraisal Board. At our last council meeting, there was comments concerning property appraisals, and it was suggested the council should be reviewing the property appraisals. We did some research, and the following was found. The state comptroller conducts 2 separate reviews of the appraisal district. Number 1, the property value study, and number 2, the methods and assistance program review. In the property value study is performed on odd number years, and they review the actual appraisal from the county appraisal district as it relates to the true market value. They use random sampling and statistical analysis of the sample to determine the accuracy of the appraisals. Within the random sample, the state will look for properties that have a known, verified sale price within 6 months before or after the assessment date of January 1st and applies that sale price to the value of the appraisal. The second one, the method and assistance program review, is conducted each even-numbered years and is a complete audit of the appraisal district governance, tax assistance, operating procedures and appraisal standards, procedures and methodology. The purpose of this review is to ensure the county appraisal district is meeting required statutory mandates and has sound policies and procedures regarding the appraisal methodology. While this review does not look at the final appraisal value, it does take a deep look into the methodology used by the county appraisal district to develop the values and what measures are in place to make certain the appraisals are equal and uniform. It is not the responsibility of the city to conduct audits of the county appraisal district, especially since the state does it every year. It should be recognized that the county appraisal district is a state organization, not a county or a city organization. If you have more concerns about the appraisals, then I suggest that they be brought to the attention of the Hunt County Appraisal District Board of Directors at their monthly board meeting. Thank you. All right, the next item is citizens to be heard. Citizens to be heard are invited to address the council on topics not already scheduled for public hearings or listed on the agenda. You need to present a citizen's comment card to the city secretary prior to the meeting and prior to speaking. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes and should conduct themselves in a civil manner. The City Council cannot act on items not listed on the agenda in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act. Concerns will be addressed by the city staff. They may be placed on future agenda or addressed by some other course of response. As a side, tonight will be the last night that if you don't turn in a card to the city secretary prior to the start of the meeting, you will not be given an opportunity to speak. We will only address those items that the city secretary has a meeting or has a card from you. All right, the first item under public hearing is consideration and action on an ordinance authorizing a change in zoning from agricultural district to industrial zone district.
We need to do citizens to be heard first.
What?
Citizens to be heard.
I guess we could do that.
Okay.
All right, citizens to be heard. I just
John
wanted to
Kelso.
talk about that. I didn't say we were going to have anybody. My
John
apologies,
Kelso.
folks.
John Kelso, 6005 Horn Drive, Greenville. I'm going to be up here. I turned in a card for 7B, but I had some spillover. It'd probably take more than 2 minutes, so I thought I'd go ahead and do it now. I just want to say thanks to you guys for being up there. You know, you volunteer to come down here twice a month, and some of you actually paid money for the privilege of being here twice a month, and we come down here and fuss at you and complain, and you know, we don't do that because it's fun for us. We don't enjoy that. Sometimes you even take pot shots back at us, some of you, and I don't think that's fun for you either. But we believe in something, whatever it is, you know, potholes, infrastructure, parks, the budget, downtown, whatever it is, we believe in, you know, we don't all believe in the same thing, but we believe in something. And we understand that's why we're here. We know that anytime you come and you present an opinion, you're opening yourself up for an alternate opinion and you know, criticism of your opinion. And we know that, but if you believe in it enough, you go ahead and do that. So I hate to speak for other people. I try not to do that. But I think I speak for everybody here when I say thank you for serving. We don't want to do it. We're not going to do it. You know, and you guys are running the city the best you can, what you can do, and we appreciate it because no one else is going to do it. And so I just wanted to say thank you, and we appreciate it. Did you see Dilbert today in the paper? I'm going to close. Dilbert talked to me. I can't tell the difference between good ideas and bad ones. There are smart people on both sides of every idea. What rational process do you use to determine who is right? And Wally says, I label people who disagree with me idiots and call it a day. Now, that's not going to be our position, okay, and I hope that won't be your position either, but I thought that was pretty good. All that being said, I still reserve the right to come up here in 20 minutes and fuss at you. So.
Thank you.
No more.
Anybody else wish to come up and speak? All right, I'll close the citizens be heard. Now we'll go to public hearing. Like that? Okay. Consideration and action on an ordinance authorizing a change in zoning from agricultural district to industrial zone district. You don't look at all like Steve. You're a lot better looking than Steve.
Thank you, Mayor. So the property in question is located in West Greenville off of Highway 66 south of 380. It's approximately 11 acres. Let's see if I can get it to go to the next one. Yeah. Is
That the one you want?
It's not moving. Well, maybe it's not on. If not, I'll just go without it. I won't even worry about it. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Okay.
You might want to put it on your notes there so that it's got some traction.
I tried to hit slideshow and it didn't. Right here. This one here. They had it on.
I won't worry about it. I won't even worry about it.
Oh, I see. It's not changing up there.
And so, so basically, the parcel existing zoning is agriculture, and the applicant is asking to for a zoning change for light industrial. Currently, to the south of the property, it's agricultural land that's vacant, and then the surrounding parcels are light industrial. I had a map. The next slide was going to actually just show what the adjacent land uses were or zoning was. There's one parcel to the northeast that is commercial, and one that is heavy industrial, but this is primarily a light industrial corridor. And so they're seeking light industrial zoning because they're proposing to put a landscaping business there. We sent out 7 notifications, and the next slide was going to show you the properties that we notified. We received 0 responses in opposition, and then we received 1 that was for the property. They're the property that's located to the east. I think they're a fertilizer company. Do you have any questions?
Anybody have any questions on this?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll open it up to public hearing at this time. Does anybody wish to speak in favor of this? Anybody wish to speak against this? At this time, I will close the public hearing. None heard. Does anybody on the council have any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve. All right, Jerry.
Second.
Al. And I have 5-0. Okay, item 6B, consideration and action on an ordinance authorizing a change in zoning from single-family 1 zoning district to single-family 2 zoning district.
Thank you, Mayor. This property is located in southeast Greenville, off of 1570. It's approximately 3.8 acres. You can go to the next one, if it allows you to. Currently, the property is zoned single-family 1. The applicant is seeking a zoning change to single-family 2 to coincide with the remaining development that is proposed to occur. Here you can see what the existing zoning is for the adjacent properties. Looking at the 200-foot radius, we notified approximately 16, not 17. We sent out 16 notices. We received 0 in favor, and we received 6 in opposition, and you can kind of see where those properties were identified. I think primarily opposition was due to concerns with property values due to the zoning change. Did you have any questions for me?
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I will open it up to public hearing. Anybody wish to speak in favor of this?
I'll try to stay in front of the mic this week. So, Scott Ellis, 501 Traders Road. So what we're here tonight for is we're talking about the zoning here around the circle, the front part of Ellis Estates. Ellis Estates is 220 lots, the final plat. These are bigger homes. These are SF2 lots that we're building in this neighborhood. All we're here tonight for is the first part that's been zoned SF1, those first lots coming in off Jack Finney. These are bigger homes. Bigger houses, 3-car garages. You can see these homes right here from Stonewood Estates are bigger houses that we're building. So we're not building a smaller home in these lots. We're building bigger houses coming up in Ellis Estates. I think that was some concern from homeowners close by that we'd be building smaller homes, but we're going to be building larger homes. So Ellis Estates is 220 lots when it's all said and done. This is kind of our future plat right here. And so we're just here for the first part of the subdivision off 1570.
Any questions? Thank you, Scott. Anybody else wish to speak in favor of?
Appreciate the council allowing me to address you tonight.
Please give your name and address, I'm sorry.
My name is Rick Mosley. I live at 8001 Old Mill Road. Don't worry, it's just a single sheet and it's double spaced, and my mastery of the English language is not that good anyway. I'm a high school graduate and lifelong resident of Greenville. I've been a business owner here and a homeowner for over 40 years, and I'm proud to say I live in Greenville, Texas. I believe the Ellis family has shown since arriving in Greenville they have the best interest of our town at heart. They've shown both a commitment in quality and quantity in every project they've undertaken in Greenville. The Ellis family has broadened our tax base almost every month, and I feel that's to be applauded. I believe the change from SF1 to SF2 will put housing on the ground that is commensurate with the adjacent neighborhood and should be approved by the council. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wish to speak in favor? Anybody wish to speak against? None heard? At this time, I will close the public hearing. Does the council have any comments or questions?
When P&Z approved this unanimously, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve as submitted.
So move.
Barry?
Second.
Al?
I'm abstaining.
You're abstaining?
Yes. I'm recusing myself because I'm.
Okay, 4-0, passes. Okay, item 6C, we've had some late information on that that's come in, so we're going to pull that from the agenda at this time. All right, next we have public testimony. Public testimony occurs when citizens are invited to address the council on topics already on the agenda. Speakers will be invited to speak at the time the council discusses the item. Please present a citizen's comment card to the city secretary prior to speaking, and speakers will be limited to 2 minutes for each agenda item. Item 7A, consideration and action on an ordinance authorizing a professional contract agreement with Quality Electric Control. Press?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Quality Electric is the company that we've been working with to help us rebuild and rehab our SCADA system, which is our communication system for our water plant and our wastewater plant. It allows us to communicate with all the equipment, pumps, motors, whatever, to monitor their usage. And it's like a proprietary system because each SCADA system is built exactly to the needs that you have to have for your own individual plant. So we're requesting to be able to continue to use Quality Electric to continue with the SCADA system rebuild.
Are there any questions? All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve as submitted.
Let people talk first.
Hmm?
We need to let people speak if they want to.
I'm sorry. I'm just moving right along.
I
will open it up
appreciate
to public
commitment to
testimony at
getting
this
through the
time.
meeting.
Anybody wish to speak on this item? Public testimony is closed. Now I will entertain a motion to approve as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Holly? Brent? You going to vote?
Oh, excuse me. Yes.
5-0. All right, item 7B, consideration and action on an ordinance amending the code of ordinance for the city. And this has to do with the Article 2, Section 206.003. And Mayor Pro Tem Ransom.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to put this in perspective. The amount of money that we're talking about is about 11% of our total TAV. I mentioned that in the last meeting, but just so everybody will know, it's not a small slice. It's about 11% of our TAV. So whatever decision is made tonight is going to impact that amount of money. The other thing, or that amount of our budget. The other thing is a sunset provision, which myself and Mr. Atkins proposed last time. Let me tell you how that works exactly, and I'll use a $100,000 home as an example to keep the math simple. So if you have a home that's appraised at $100,000, we currently have an exemption for $10,000. So at that point, the taxes would be $90,000. If we do this tonight, okay, if we add another $10,000 to that, it will make the appraisal, the effective appraisal, $80,000. And that's where the freeze will start if the freeze passes. There is no sunset provision or snapback with regard to this. So whatever we do tonight, if the freeze passes, the taxes that they paid on that $80,000 is where the freeze will begin. So I want everybody to understand that, and I think there was some confusion about that last week. Daniel, you can help me with this if you want to. So we can go, I don't want to spend a lot of time going through this again. I think we looked at it before. Can you go to the next slide? Currently, the $10,000 homestead exemption would, for persons over 65 and disabled, or 65 and over and disabled, would, we're going to estimate, go to the next slide if you will, please. So these are the number of homes that are impacted. So if you look on the left side, there we have 395 homes, for example, that are valued under $50,000. We have in the next segment, we have 445 homes, and then we have 437 in the 101 to 150,000. So over 68% of our homes are valued under $50,000. And somebody called me and said that perhaps this data may not be completely current. We use 2019 TAV data that we use to determine these numbers. So we're impacting what I feel is a large number of people who really need a tax break. We've talked about various things, but I think the important thing about this slide is we are impacting the people who I believe in general need it. Next slide. If you will. This is what happens with an additional $10,000 exemption. We went through all of this last meeting. The average annual 5-year loss to the city would be $125 in tax revenue, which probably is about a half a cent. I like to think of things in terms of a cent on the tax rate. So that probably over that period of time will represent about a half a cent. And we will lose $1,258,000 over 10 years. It's projected that's what it would be. So that's what it would benefit the taxpayers, $64, and it would benefit the $50,000 taxpayers. You can see 25%. It would reduce its taxes 25%, but only a small amount from a dollar standpoint. Okay, go to the next slide, if you will. This is the $20,000 exemption. The numbers essentially double. If you look at it, it's the annual loss. As you see, the annual 5-year loss is around $250,000, which will be about 1 cent on the tax rate, and the cumulative loss for 10 years will be about $2.5 million. The annual savings there is $128 for all of those taxpayers, and it's a nice discount for everybody that's in $150,000 or less. It starts, I think, at 14%, it goes to 22, et cetera. And then if we implemented this proposal, which I'm proposing tonight, that we do initially a $10,000 exemption this year, followed by a $20,000 exemption if the freeze doesn't pass. In other words, we're setting up, there's a good chance, I think, that the freeze will pass, but if it doesn't pass, we're setting up a vehicle for the $20,000 for the following year. And if you'll show that, that would be a total $30,000 exemption that we're granting homeowners. And if you'll show that slide, Summer, then you can see what the impact that is. It's probably about a half a cent a penny and a half on the tax rate for that period of time, and our cumulative loss is right at $3.7 million. So I don't know if there are any questions on that, but I went through most of those spreadsheets last time.
Anybody on the council have any questions?
Okay, and so I would like to recommend that we implement a $10,000 exemption. This year, we need to do that by July 1st to make that happen, followed by a contingency of a $20,000, an additional $20,000 exemption in the event the tax freeze does not pass in November. So that would be, and I guess I will make that motion.
Not yet, though.
Pardon me?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
All right, I will open it up to public testimony. Anybody wish to speak on this item?
John Kelso?
John?
John Kelso, 6005 Horn Drive.
Raise the mic up. There you go.
Start my clock. Okay, so we know this is a serious proposal that you're looking at tonight. So let's take a serious look at the numbers. Let's say a 5,000 numbers you talked about last meeting, $5,000 exemption on a $100,000 home. How long would that last? Well, by your own projections, it'd be gone in a year. You were projecting 8.25% property value increase annually. So in the first year, by the first year, a $5,000 exemption on a $100,000 home would be gone. In fact, on a $70,000 home, $5,000 would be gone in a year. Okay, so John, be fair. We said 15 to 20,000 last time. Okay, so 15,000. How long would that last? 2 years. On a $100,000 home, that would be gone in 2 years. It would be washed up by the property value increases. That's nothing. Okay, it is something, but it's not a lot. Let's say you're a 75-year-old guy, you got 25 more years to live, let's just say. For 2 years, there's relief. For 23 years after that, you're driven down by rising property values. If you're looking for a serious way to financially help senior citizens, this is not it. Last time someone mentioned Richardson, said they're doing 100,000. They thought. I checked it out. Yes, they are doing 100,000 for seniors. Their property values are 2.5 times Greenville. So 100,000 divided by 2.5, that's 40,000. If you want to just be as good as Richardson, you'd do 40,000. Austin, by the way, is 3 times, not 8, but 3 times property values in Greenville. So just look. I still believe you could.
Mr. Kelso, your time is up. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else, Carol?
No.
Anybody else wish to speak on this? All right, at this time, I will close the public testimony. Now, Jerry.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Wait.
I'd like to say something, kind of in response to Mr. Kelso, but not just for his benefit. But you mentioned the 8.25 increase in TAV each year. That doesn't mean an 8.25 increase in overall tax a year, because the city, unlike many of our other governmental entities, has maintained effective tax rate or close to effective tax rate year in and year out, close to it. So even if the appraisal values continue to go up, which frankly would be good news for all of us because it means our property values are increasing, the city council has still worked hard to try to cut those tax rates. And then to something that Mr. Ransom said earlier, it talks about, I just want to make sure everybody's clear about this, and I do think this is a good idea because I do want to help our seniors, particularly those seniors with, that have below the median house values. But this is not, it talks about a year loss in revenue, loss in revenue, loss in revenue. And as everybody in this room knows, but I want to make sure we think about it, governments don't really lose revenue. They either cut expenses and then take in less revenue, or they shift where that revenue comes from. And so the city is probably not going to say, we're going to cut this service that we otherwise would have had in order to accommodate this. It's going to shift the tax burden somewhere else. And once again, I still think this is the right thing to do. I appreciate the hard work that Dr. Ransom has put in on this to try to address a lot of the things that we've heard over the last year plus from you guys and everybody else, and try to help those people on fixed incomes. But this is going to shift the tax burden, and just like the freeze would shift the tax burden to other people. So just want to point that out. But I'll second the motion.
Any other questions, comments? Al?
I just want to make a quick comment. As the folks might remember, last meeting I had suggested 15,000 as a additional exemption, but after looking at the numbers again and considering the COVID impacts to the city, I can fully support this proposal, but I will also say as we move into budget and we start setting our target tax rate, that I hope we will look for some additional relief for not only the seniors, but all citizens in setting the tax rate.
Any other comments? No. All right, I have a motion.
I'd just like to say, as I make this motion and as I vote tonight, I pledge not to avail myself of either the senior freeze or this additional exemption as I vote tonight.
Okay. I've got a motion by Jerry and a second by Brent. All in favor? All right, passes 5-0. Okay, next item is the consent calendar. That includes the city council meeting minutes from June 9th. 9B was resolution approving a contract agreement between the City of Greenville and TxDOT Aviation Division to receive some funds for the airport under the CARES Act airport grant. I think that's about $69,000. And then a resolution authorizing submission of application for coronavirus emergency supplemental funding. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that?
I have a question on the minutes, if you can hold just a second here. I wanted to ask staff, I believe it was Kevin Heath who brought, who talked about the airport at the last meeting. What? That wasn't him?
It was Casey, starts with a D.
Okay. Well, I don't see his name there.
Dudenhofer. He's on Citizens to be Heard.
Okay. I just want, yeah, he was Citizens to be Heard. Okay. I'm sorry. Has the staff reached out to him?
I have received an email from him, and I'm in contact with him.
I think it'd be good if we do reach out to him. I don't know if he's here tonight, but just as a follow-up.
Any other?
That's all.
Anybody else have any other questions on these items? Anybody in the public wish to speak on these items? No public testimony heard. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Al? Ollie? Ollie?
Yes.
And it passes 5-0.
Sorry.
Okay, next we have the May comprehensive financials. Talia?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. These financials will be the May 31st financial report, at which point we are 67% through the fiscal year. Looking at the general fund as of May 31st, revenues are in at $19.8 million, or 78% of expected collections. Expenditures are $17.3 million, or 67% of budgeted expectations. So we're right on target where we would typically be at this time of the year. Looking at sales tax year to date through May, we were up $262,000, or 4.99% compared to the same point in the previous fiscal year. So down at the bottom, you can see our target remaining sales tax to collect to meet that target would be $2.1 million.
So this is actually through March sales?
So it's the 3 months prior, yeah, so that would really be the end of March. So not really April yet, which would be when we were more
Yeah, but it's still pretty
impacted
good.
by COVID, so.
Enjoy the growth so far.
Right, no, I'm enjoying
Yeah,
it.
we'll
I'm
see a
trying
little
to
bit of a different
temper
picture.
my expectations.
Yeah. Okay, so looking at only the month of May, the city portion of the current period collections was $668,000, which, looking at just that month, would be a decrease of 5.84% compared to only the month of May in 2019. So again, those are March sales taxes reported in April and then received by the city in May. Looking at the history of May sales tax, you can see that little bit of a dip there over the last several years. Water and sewer fund revenues through May as a percent of the budget are 8.5 million or 60% of budgeted expectations. Here's our really nice hotel motel slide for the month of May. You can see a pretty good decrease there, which again, we expected 87% down from the same time prior year. And that's going to be obviously our lockdowns, our shutdowns, and everything else affecting travel. So any questions?
Any questions? Comments? Thank you, Talia.
Thank you.
Next item is council discussion or proposed agenda item. Anybody on the council have items they'd like to have discussed?
I have one. I'm concerned about the COVID surge that we're experiencing in our state, in our community, and the fact that we're exposing our employees to that. I'm talking about the city of Greenville employees as well as our citizens. And I think if this continues at some point, it's 3 weeks before our next meeting, I think we should consider going back to Zoom meetings or going back to some other phase to attempt to address this issue. It's about sickness and death is what it's about. And I've had 2 relatives that have had this, and I can tell you, everybody in this room, you don't want to have this. It's not always like the flu. And I just think that I think the entire community needs to be more serious, but I think we have control of what we're doing here at the city, and I think we should consider that. Personally, I would be fine with authorizing the mayor to make a decision about what we need to do. I think he has that power without another city council meeting to determine it. I think he can look at the numbers and decide what needs to be done, but I think we're in a crisis and we need to address that crisis.
Okay. Anything else?
I agree with Dr. Ransom. I think the numbers continue to go up, and I think that whatever we need to do to try to keep our staff and employees and team members safe is of the utmost importance. I wholeheartedly support Dr. Ransom, your idea that the mayor can make these decisions. I do, but I also believe that our city manager is probably best suited to, if you will, have her finger on the pulse of what's going on within the ranks of the people who go out every day and work, like Press said, at all hours of the day and night. And so whatever we need to do to try to keep everyone safe, I think is of utmost importance.
I'll just add to that, I think that we should review what we're doing for the 4th of July celebration. I'm as patriotic as anybody, but you asked me to sit on a call when you were absent with the city mayors, and that was probably 2 months ago. And at that time, some cities were already canceling their 4th of July celebrations. Other cities who were having them were concerned that those cities were going to come be there with them and add to that. And I just think we need to be looking at all of this, the GMA, the 4th of July, all of those things.
Okay.
I would say that, and while I understand everything that you're saying, and I want to be safe also, and I leave it to the mayor to decide if meeting here is safe enough or if we need to go back to the way we were, although I like being here in person. I'm the chairman of the Park Street Historical Board, and we've been trying to decide what to do with our parade. And today, one of our members talked with Rich Carter, and he said the hospital isn't anywhere close to overwhelmed right now. Rich is not worried at all about outdoor events on July 4th as long as people take precautions. So that's just a statement, since we may not meet again until then. Looking at I know Dallas today compared to exactly 1 month ago. 1 month ago, they had 69% of their beds occupied. Today, it's 66%. ICU beds a month ago today was 68%. Today, it's 69%. Ventilators a month ago was 34%. Now it's 36%. So even in Dallas, it's pretty much the same as it was a month ago. I think what we're mostly seeing is more people getting tested, which is a good thing, and a lot more people that would not have been tested a month ago being tested now.
Well, along that same line is we had a Chamber of Commerce meeting today, and I encourage the businesses to make a decision themselves as to whether they wanted to have their customers wear masks and their staff. We've seen an increase in number of positive cases, but no deaths, no additional deaths. We've had a total of 5. But I think all of us need to recognize that, as Mr. Ransom said, this is not just another case of the flu. So I would encourage everybody to practice social distancing, wear your mask, and wash your hands. And do this all the time, not just when somebody insists on it. And I mean, we're the people of the city. We need to ensure that our city can survive and move forward. So, all right, anything else besides that? All right. We have the Board and Commission minutes, the Board of Development minutes from February 18th. Anybody have a comment on that? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this time we're going to go out of open session and go into executive session. For those of you that don't want to stick around, thank you very much for attending. And please stay safe, wear your mask, do social distancing, and wash your hands often.
The recipe for great food is simple. Make it fresh. Wings to go in Greenville, where every order is a custom order made with fresh ingredients. Wings to go, 7818 Wesley Street in Greenville. Simply great wings.
Love your car or truck? You'll love it more with a new sound system from Super Sound in Greenville. They've got all the hot brands like JL Audio, Alpine, Hyphonics, Pioneer, Rockford Fosgate, Kicker, Heiss, and more. And great technicians to do the install. Super Sound in Greenville, 5013 Wesley Street. They make sound move you. Super Sound and Security.